All right, good evening, everybody. It's Adam VanOrd here again with another week of Live at 9:45, hosted by me, Adam VanOrd of VanOrd Customs. This week, we are going to be interviewing the man behind Reefs RC himself. Let's talk about a few housekeeping things, a couple other pieces of information as we go on here for this evening. First off, if you haven't checked out all of my other social media stuff, check out Instagram and Facebook at VanOrd Customs. Check out my YouTube over at VanOrd Customs. I've been shooting a bunch of videos and uploading some stuff over the last week or two. Some fun things, some stuff with myself, some stuff with my son, you name it. It's all about having fun with RC and playing around with my iPhone and seeing what it can do for me. Additionally, I want to talk about some upcoming guests while we get some people into our feed here. First and foremost, next week we have Wes Braswell. Wes has been doing like online YouTube build series where he is doing some phenomenal work and doing a great job over there. When are we going to interview? Shortly. Next, we... let's talk about the week after that. So the week after that is East Coast Scale Challenge, and I will be showing up down in Newcastle, PA at sometime Thursday afternoon. And Ed and Matt have graciously agreed to do a live at 9:45 live from East Coast. So hopefully there's enough Wi-Fi there. I believe there is, especially in the little general store they've got going on. Maybe we can set up shop there, or possibly next to the RC Attic stuff, because I know Ryan kind of rocks his own Wi-Fi, and hopefully he'll be gracious enough to let us in. So if you're going to be at East Coast, you can come hang out, I guess, probably, while we're doing live at 9:45, as long as you guys are quiet and we can record. But additionally, if you're not going to be at East Coast, you're not going to miss out, because we're going to be live and we're going to be there. See you there, Dan. So last but not least, I love that you guys tune in. I appreciate all the love, and I appreciate all of the stuff that's going on as far as you tuning in, checking out what goes on every week. I'm trying more and more to include you guys as you're watching what's going on. I'll try to do some shout outs to you, ask you some questions, and go from there. Additionally, if I miss something, if I go back, I'll be more than happy to readdress what's going on later on after the feed is over. I go through all the comments and go through and make sure that I reply back to what people have asked or said. Last but not least, ask questions away while you're going down through. If I can catch it while it's scrolling down the screen, I have my pen ready, and hopefully I can ask it to our guest this evening. So without further ado, I'm going to do a little searching and see if I can't find him in here. I know he's in here. Oh, there we go. Add him to the screen and camera, and I know my volume's going to be wrong on my speakers, so I'm going to have to get up and adjust those in just a second. So, hey.
Hey.
Yep, totally wrong. My volume is always wrong. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so there we go. We're good, man. So how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I am doing great. So let's start this whole interview process. Let's just fire it up. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, first, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And second, tell you a little bit about me. I got into crawling not too long ago, like 2-3 years ago, I want to say.
Okay.
And I fell in love with it, and I fell in love with the people that showed me the hobby, which was awesome. I made some really good friends. I made a lot of like brothers now, and so that's a little bit about me. I love the hobby. I've always been an entrepreneur. I own several businesses, and this is the one that I have a passion for now, so I'm sticking with it.
All right. So you just claimed that you've been in the hobby for about 2 years now, is what you said?
I mean, I've loved RC since I was a kid, and I've been off and on. But I guess I went hardcore in it 2 years ago.
Okay.
Where I started really, building and customizing and stuff like that, and just getting more familiar with the hobby.
Right. Totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Who or what, like, initially was that thing that sparked it and brought you back in and, like, why'd you dive in so deep?
So I took my son to the local hobby town here, Hobby Town Corona. I just took him in one day. I said, "Hey, let's go check out some cars," and because I loved them as a kid, I wanted him to check it out. We went in there and we bought an ECX Ruckus, the first kid basher, you know. And then I was drawn to the Axial Bomber. And after I bought the Axial Bomber, I was just like hooked on crawling. So just 20 rigs later, and you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I hear you there. You said you've been on and off into RC for a big portion of your life, at least, is what you kind of said there. And so, do you remember what your first hobby grade RC was? And to the people out there in internet world as well, our viewers, if you know what yours was, post it up as well. I do have to. I have to pause you for 1 second because I see a comment coming in that says "froze up." Dennis, if you are frozen and you can hear me or whatever, guys, if it freezes on you, just log out and come back in. When we get this many people in here and then when we have all the likes and stuff, sometimes it does funky things. So if you go out and come back, you're good to go. So back to the question. Sorry.
So, I mean, my first, not hobby grade, but it was the Tyco Bandit. You remember that thing?
Yeah.
So I mean that when I think I was 14 or 13 when I got it, and I just loved it. And then I've had off and on Tamiyas, and then my real crawler, like I said, was the Bomber Deadbolt, and then it just went on from there. And then I have, like I said, other businesses that allow me to do things, and that's kind of how I got into Reefs.
Right. All right. So if you weren't in this hobby, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Mainly focusing on my other business, which is the bread.
So
some of you guys know I own a large part of the bread business out here in Southern California.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit in our test feed that we did earlier today to make sure things were lined up and working. But you've alluded to the fact that you own a couple other businesses or that you've run some businesses. What exactly are you involved in outside of RC? And now you're doing the RC thing.
Right. So we supply gears and machining pieces to high name printing companies out here and worldwide, and those are manufactured in my office in Italy. And large amounts of gears, CNC work. I don't want to name the companies on here because I was told not to after we talked. But yeah, so large companies that everybody knows, everybody uses. We make gears and aluminum parts for them for about 10 years now. And then I have another business which is in China, and that's the hookah business. So I've been in the hookah business for about 12 years now. It's called Cleopatra Hookah. Some of you guys may have seen it. We do a lot of celebrity stuff out here in LA and Hollywood. And so a lot of my stuff in that aspect comes from overseas. And I do a lot of stuff overseas. And then, like I said, the bread business out here again, too, I run that.
Sweet. Why RC, man? Why this?
I mean, when I started crawling and meeting the people, and I just fell in love with it. It brought me back to being a kid again. And, I say we never grow up, man. We're going to be old and we can still play with toys. And I've always liked to play with toys since I was a little kid. And what better way to make it a business and have fun with it at the same time. And not only that, I did it, and I don't know if you're going to get into the question of how Reefs came about and why doing it, but I mean, we could go from there if you want.
Yeah. So my next two, I ask a lot of different people, and you haven't been in for a super long time in the hobby, so I'm curious about your answers with this. But are you a big tire guy or a small tire guy?
So when I started, I was a big tire guy because I was like, man, why are these guys running little tires? I'm running these 2.2s on a Bomber, and everything was easy. And little did I know, first of all, it's funner with smaller tires. And actually, believe it or not, like at Axial Fest, the little tires were killing it, better than the big tires. So now I'm more of a little tire kind of guy, and it's a lot of fun. It's harder, and that's what I like.
Yeah, a little more challenge, a little more thought goes into your line choice and all of that.
Absolutely.
So along those same lines, are you brushed or brushless?
So obviously, when I start, RTRs, whatever, I just run them brushed, and then I either get annoyed with it, or I'm crawling with buddies and they're just using that speed to get up things, and then I immediately go home and buy a system, a brushless system. So all of my rigs start brushed and then eventually go to brushless.
All right. That's a fair and honest answer.
It's less maintenance too, and you get better electronics. So
yeah, I hear you completely. What do you like the most? Do you compete? And if so, do you like that more, or do you like building the trucks more, and why?
So I like building the trucks to compete. So,
okay.
And that's kind of why we opened a new office here in Corona, California. With what we're going to have is a huge indoor crawling course for comps. So we're going to have two comps monthly. So like guys could build them and then come test them here, run them, compete, have fun.
Sweet.
It's enclosed. We don't get kicked out. In California, it's way too hot. So you could kind of say I like to comp and like challenge my friends and have a little
little competitive nature going on there.
Exactly. We talk a little smack to each other.
Oh yeah, definitely have to have that. That makes it for a good comp day, man. A little talk back and forth. So,
yeah.
Where did the name Reefs RC come from?
So my real name is Sheref. And then as I make friends with people, they start calling me Reef. So they just shortened it to Reef. And then, when I made the servos for my buddies to try, because I could, I didn't intend on anything. They just started automatically posting, check out Reefs RC servo, and then it just
kind of blew up.
People hit me up, hey, how do I get these servos, man? So I was like, no problem. I guess I can make some more.
Sorry, I'm reading comments and it makes me laugh.
Oh, no, go ahead.
There's a comment that says, from Haas Pickett, that says that my pocket looks like Ohio. So, okay. So, I think it's probably the only shirt I own that has a pocket that's a different color. But
I did see Steve's comment on here. Steve Martin said they don't have my shirt in his size. I try, man. I have like a ton of apparel, and it's just like, once I have certain sizes, they go by quick. And I have them on the website. Every time I try to remind myself to tell Steve, they're gone.
That's fair. I mean, sometimes things just fly out real quick, and you can't, whatever.
I know, man. And I try to get everything to please everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how did the whole Reefs thing get started? You touched on it a little bit, but like, what's the real story there?
So the real story is like when I started crawling, and I obviously broke the stock servos within like a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought. Well, I didn't know which one to buy because I asked my friends, "Hey, what servo do you think I should buy?" Because that question gets asked 100 times every day on Facebook. So I just asked my friend, and he told me to buy the servos $180. So I was like, wow. I said, okay. So I bought two of them. So I spent almost $400 on servos. And when I got them, I said, hey, can you help me install these? He's like, holy, I can't believe you actually bought those because they're super expensive, right? And I was like, man, you told me to buy them. So, and it just clicked in my head, like, why am I not utilizing my sources to make something that you don't have to pay 180, 150 to get those specs? I mean, I wanted to kind of just level it for people and make it easy.
Yep.
So I made 10. And like I said, I gave them to my close buddies around here. They ran them for a long time. And then they just said, boom, we're going to start posting about it. I said, fine, post about it. Made some stickers for them. They posted it. And then it just God works in weird ways, man. You know, it just happened.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the way things come about, I think, and so it was cool because you have the connections and the opportunity to do that. So if you weren't sitting in the position that you were with your other businesses, you would have had to have gone through a lot of legwork to make those connections to source that stuff.
Right.
So
Well, it takes, you know what? I wouldn't be able to do it without my engineers, without my partners. We have large staffs everywhere, and if I didn't have those people, you know, I can't do it. I'm not, you know, I can't. I can only do so much.
right,
But because we have those certain people that we've had for many years, we could basically do whatever we want, and we have the capital to make anything happen, which is really difficult. And being that I had the capital, I want to make the product expensive to where the customer had to pay for certain features that are really not needed.
right.
Um, in the market that I feel, because I was there, I was buying it, I was like, why am I paying this? You know, it doesn't need it, whatever. But yeah, that's how it kind of.
Awesome. So your first thing that you came out with was that servo for everybody. Is that still like the specs, the same gears and stuff as one of the ones that you currently have on your line, or did you like completely revamp everything since then? Sorry, I dropped my pen.
So the first one I made was it was a basic one. It's called the 422. It was a basic gearing. We changed the gears around to get certain numbers that we wanted to, and like I said, it was only meant to try. And my friends and people, actually, some of my friends are still running them hard. It's been more than a year, and I didn't make it because we were using them on little trail trucks, so we didn't really go hardcore with it. But then for testing, I told everybody, hey, put them on your bombers, put them on everything, because bombers break everything. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, then I started talking to my engineers a little bit better, a little bit stronger. We started making adjustments to the gears, to the bearings, to the circuit board, to all this good stuff to make it to where it's still affordable and still provides what we want for crawling.
Right. Yeah. So what is your favorite part about running Reefs RC?
Actually, man, my favorite part is crawling with the people that are not even if they're not using my product. Just I did this business because I love not only the hobby, but I love the people behind that remote. You know, it's crazy kind of family that the RC community is in, and I'm just happy that I'm able to be a part of it. It's been crazy, and I would say, you know, building is awesome, crawling is awesome, but crawling with the people and at events, I mean, that's what we all have fun at. We love hanging out with people, you know, going out the boys, hiking, crawling, doing our thing.
Right. All right, so I'm gonna real quick address the people who are in and watching and guys. I appreciate all the love you're giving, but every time you hit that like, that heart, that smiley face, whatever it is, it tends to make the feed break up for whatever reason. I just found out actually that in my area they're having big internet problems as a whole. So it's not just my house, it's not just the service I pay for, it's like my entire town. So. I've been powering through, but I definitely have noticed some issues popping up.
So don't like it until after the video's over.
Yeah, like all you want when it's over. Oh yeah, now they're doing it like crazy. Hey, if you guys drop the feed, that is what it is. But anyway, so the comments don't affect anything. For some reason, the like button absolutely does. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about what's your least favorite part about running Reefs RC.
Shipping and receiving.
Yes.
You know, because I like to do things myself. I'm so hands-on here, and I like to do it. I like to put every servo in the box. I like to put a sticker in there for the people. I mean, I touch every servo that's out in the market. me personally putting it in the box, because I inspect every servo that goes out.
Yeah.
Personally. And I like that part, but I hate the packaging and the taping and the boxing and all that crap, you know.
Yeah.
So I need to get somebody for that.
So let's talk a little bit about design process. So obviously I don't need to know like special trade secrets or anything like that, but like what's your basic process? How do you kind of make things happen?
So I'll tell you. So we're coming out. I did a little a sneak post about a new servo dropping next month. So that design and those specs have been in the works for about 6 months.
Yeah.
So people don't realize how hard of engineering goes behind making a new product. I didn't know until my engineers told me. Usually it just happens. Like
Yeah.
we have it's already going. I don't really get involved. But now I'm involved, and they tell me, hey, it takes us, you know. So I give them what I want to have, and then they come back to me with, well, Reef, this is what you could have. So everybody's gonna freak out when they see this new servo next month. I've been getting hounded for this kind of servo for about 6 months now. So super excited to show you guys. We've been testing it for about 3 months now. It's been killing it, and it's not what you guys expect. It's not a 666. It's not a 777. It's not that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Well, I for one can't wait. What makes your servos unique and stand apart from the other servo manufacturers, and what's going on?
So when we manufacture, I try to not put any cost on the customer. Like I said, that's not needed. So if I could find a cheap box to put the badass servo in, I'm going to do it. If I could save the customer $1, let's do that. Okay.
Yeah.
If we could pick a generic casing and not spend $15,000 to make our custom casing, let's do that. And let's save $20 for the customer.
Right.
So we could down the line come out with a really crazy look, you know, of design. It just costs about 10 to 15 grand for me.
Right.
And what happens to that is that gets relayed over to the customer, which I think is, who cares really? I just, you know, if it works great, leave it.
Right. Well, in crawling,
yeah.
The whole goal with your servo is to hide it anyway. People put them chassis on them, people hide them, you know. People cover them up. I mean, so I don't really care what it looks like as long as it works.
Yeah, we just did an improvement today, actually, on the 555s that are going to be shipping out this week and next week. So we used to have a sticker on the front of it.
Yeah.
I did away with that, and I did it laser because I support a lot of the mud trucking guys and U4 and all this stuff, and the stickers kind of rip off. Yeah. A lot of servo companies have stickers in the front. So with the new one, we lasered the front, this side obviously, and now all of it. So we lasered all three. Instead of before, it was just one side and a sticker, and that was it.
Yeah.
So that's little things we're trying to do without making the servo more expensive for the customer.
Right. Clean up the look, make it a little nicer, make it last a little longer, and not transfer any cost onto who's buying it. So.
And that's why we made gears for them too, and I call them just in case gears, because you know nothing is bulletproof, man. You know, it's a toy truck, you can break anything. You know what I mean? So you just got to know how to handle your toys.
Right. I hear you completely. So I tend to not break a lot of stuff, but there are people around me. Like there's some guys that I run with that break stuff every time we go out, and I rarely do. My dad breaks stuff way less than I do, but it definitely depends on how you function, how you apply your driving skills to your RC. So
absolutely, man. You just got to, everybody wants to put 1,000 horsepower in a little Jeep Cherokee like in real life. It's like you're gonna break something.
Yeah. So let's talk about your RC collection that's sitting on the shelf right now behind you. How many are there?
Oh, so so we're moving now. So I brought a few.
Oh, okay.
Um, this is the shop truck. This is the Axial 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's made just for display. It's got a little cutout for the servo. It's all decked out, with
Yeah.
the bling furries on it, and it's got my my little beadlock rings here with my name on it.
Sweet.
And it's got this, which is really awesome, which I love. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it. Nice.
So made some cool sliders for it. So I mean, I'm not saying we're coming out with it. I just like to play with stuff that I want, and if I like it enough, I'll put it in the market. And then over here we have the mud truck. Have you seen that?
I don't think I've seen the mud truck, no.
Everybody's been tripping on this thing. Look at this thing.
Dude, I like it.
Look at the wheels. Look at the wheels with the little servos.
That's awesome.
I gotta thank K2 Customs. Scott, he hooked these wheels up for me, and I know the company that made them is pretty awesome. And then here we have the servo shield.
Yeah.
On top of the 5. So we love this stuff, man. I love it. And then I got a TRX up here. I got my bomber that I started with, Adam. That's the bomber.
Yeah.
$2,000 later, baby. It's right there. And then I got a Coyote up here. I got an RC 4-wheel drive up here, and I got an HBI drifter up there.
Sweet. A nice collection you got going on there.
Yeah, there's about 15 more at the house.
Yeah. So you're diving in pretty deep here, man. And so I have to ask, what is something that you cannot leave off of a scale build? Like if you're building a scale truck, what can't you leave off?
A driver.
Nice.
I always like to have a little driver. If I don't have a driver, to me, it looks funny.
I agree. My statement's been interior. Like, you got to have something in there. You got to cover all that stuff up. Like, if you just look in the window and there's nothing, like, that doesn't look like a car or a truck. So, but I agree with the driver. That's probably my, like, close second. Like,
yeah, like Mike said, he said, what can you not leave off of a truck? A Reef servo.
I didn't know if that was going to be the answer or not. I figured maybe, but, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be like, I love having a driver in there, and obviously I love having my own products on there.
Right.
And when you guys see me at events, like a lot of people saw me at Axial Fest, it's easy to talk to me. I'm easy to talk to everybody. I'm not big-headed. I'm here for the hobby, for the RC enthusiast. I try to sponsor a ton of events, as many as I can, because when I have an event, I want the same kind of support. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'll try to support as much as I can.
Yep. Awesome, man. So, what one is your favorite right now as far as your RCs are concerned? And that goes to all you guys out there in this, and that you're watching right now, people who may be watching on YouTube later on. But what's your favorite?
Yeah, baby, it's a metal horn and a metal servo shield on metal servo 555.
Yeah.
So, what's my favorite rig, you asked, Adam?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys on here companies that I love, all of them. The one I got to say I've been running the most is my SCX 10-2. I love it. I used it at Axial Fest for a week, and I was running the 422, the one I had a year ago, at 6 volts, no BEC, and it was killing it. And then I love all my crawlers because I got to be even. But I love the 2.0. I love the Traxxas. And for tiny trucks, tires, I like the RC four-wheel drive TF2 and my Coyote.
Right.
Coyote ain't getting no love, man. I got to give him a little love because that's a little cool little car.
And I feel like there were a lot. So over the probably like the last year and a half, 2 years, there have been like a flood of ready to runs that hit the crawler market, and people really stuck by their brands, and so a lot of those like other brands that came out, you don't hear a lot about them, and I'm curious, but I already have my trucks and I just like am upgrading. So
Yeah, man, I like to try. I like to try all the trucks because even though my friends are like, "What are you doing? Why are you buying this truck?" I was like, "I think it's cool. I want to try it." And so, but I gotta say, I started with Axial. That's what got me hooked, and it's pretty easy to get hooked.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I dove in pretty deep as well. So let's talk a little bit about who you're paying attention to in the hobby. So who are your influences in the scale crawling segment of our hobby? And if you were going to pick someone to have on the show, who do you think you would pick?
Man, that's a tough question. I'm sure you hear that all the time. I mean,
yeah.
So there's a couple who got me really. I couldn't do it without this person.
Right.
Is my good friend Brock LaRouche. He's like my best friend. He's from Brock's RC Repair.
Okay.
Down here in Temecula. I'd say without him pushing me in the hobby, he's the one that told me to buy the $180 servo, FYI. And so he's a great guy. Love him. He's been doing great work for the community out here, helping everybody get their trucks fixed everywhere we go. Great guy. And I mean, obviously, I crawled a couple times with John Schultz. Amazing guy. We go down here to CDM. We've crawled a few times. I mean, that guy, everything RC he can do, and great guy to look up to and to see how he does his rigs and stuff like that. Another one of my friends, Ashley Wheelwright, great guy, great with cars. He knows everything about cars. So, yeah, those are a couple of the guys. I mean, I have a lot of friends. A lot of guys give me inspiration different ways.
Right.
And I always ask them for what do they want to see in the market. And I got to give a shout out to my team, which I call my family team, because without them, we wouldn't be here today. I love you guys. Thank you for supporting me, and thank you for knowing my mission and why I'm doing this.
Awesome. So I'm going to skip ahead, so I have a bunch of questions, guys. In case you don't know, I do write them down and I refer to them. But I'm going to skip ahead because what you just said leads me to this question. And so I saw a post the other day saying you're looking for team drivers. And what qualities are you looking for in a Reefs RC team driver?
So when I made that post, I put a map in the office and I marked off where I have team drivers, and I saw a big gap in different areas.
Right.
So I listed states that I wanted to. Yeah, John, I'll be there. I listed some states that I felt like I needed more coverage in, and some people got mad, that I didn't list their state, but so when I got 400 emails in one day, and
that's crazy.
You know how hard it is to pick from 400 emails. So it was not easy, but I went through each single one, man. I want to tell everybody out there, I went through every single driver, and I wish I could pick everybody.
Right.
I want to support everybody. It's just I can't do it being such a new company to do as much as I want to do, where my partners won't allow it. So overseas. But so as much as I want to do, I do as much as I can. But I'm looking for somebody that believes in my mission, and I'm looking for somebody that's really passionate about the hobby, not only the hobby but the people in the hobby.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So and I want somebody that's going to help somebody on the trail, or I want somebody that's going to help somebody online when they have a question, whether it's about my product or somebody else's product. and they got to be a positive role model for people. They got to, I can't have negativity on my team because it's a family team. I don't consider it just the regular team driver. You know what I mean?
Right.
So those are the few things that I'm looking at. And you got to be active online. If you're not active online, you're not going to give me the exposure that I need. I'm blunt about it. So,
right. No, I mean, and that's part of the puzzle. So,
yeah, every company wants the max exposure from a family team driver. So that's one of the things, and that's okay. It's not a numbers game with how many followers you have or not. It's just about how active you are,
Right.
So those are the things I look for.
Yeah. So it was that. Thank you for answering that and answering it so honestly, man. So one of the things about team driver stuff, and so I don't know how many of these you've caught or whatever, but I often ask people if they have any team, like if they're on a team and why they chose those companies. I often ask other companies why they've chosen like to have team drivers or not have them. I just think it's a unique thing, and so sometimes like team drivers get a bad rap. Sometimes team drivers get a really good rap. Sometimes companies get frustrated with team drivers. It's all like this huge interchangeable mix, and it's an interesting.
And there's a thing because everybody thought, well, before I was even into it, I was like, okay, what's the difference between a sponsored driver and a team driver? And the answers I get is hilarious, right? So some, every company has their way of doing it, whatever. The way I do it is, since I'm new, I can't give you all the details, but I'm trying to figure out how I can give you this information. I just feel like they support me and I support them with better than the average person gets.
I follow you. You don't have to give any more information. I just, like I said, I thought it was cool that you answered that honestly and you said what you were looking for. And the biggest thing that I saw that you never once said anything about placing at an event. And so that was where I think some people get deterred from either applying to be a team driver or think that they're not good enough or whatever. It's your whole spiel was about positivity and spreading a positive message and helping others, and I like that.
Yeah, I don't look for podiums. I don't look for I comp number one every race. That's cool. I suck at comps, but I like to talk to everybody there.
Right?
So the key thing there is talking to everybody there. It drives me crazy when people think they're too good to talk to somebody, or some companies are too good to talk to somebody. That's not cool. That you got to talk to your customer.
Yep.
In this business, in my other businesses, I personally pick up the phone and will talk to you. And I'll tell you what, companies are stepping up their game because of that.
Yeah, I hear you there, dude. There's nothing like face-to-face conversation or phone conversation or one-on-one conversation. That makes the whole world a difference. So it definitely is a good way to do things. So I'm going back to my question that I really like to answer, and then I watch people squirm because it's a hard one to answer. What build out there in the internet world have you seen that is your favorite one out there that's not your own?
I got to say, friend Bert Melchner, A&M Garage, is doing some sick builds, man. I love his rock bouncer that he made with Brian's motor and scale stuff in it. I don't know if you saw it or not.
I missed that one, so
it's I mean, he's got like the motor looks real, like the driver, everything looks real about it, and it's amazing, right? So if you haven't checked it out, that thing is awesome. And then, I gotta say again, my buddy Brock's builds are amazing, and they kill the lines. I gotta say, I always say I can still out crawl him, but he still kills me on the crawl course.
Nice. So let's shift back to like the business stuff slightly, and then the events and whatnot. I'm sure you get the question a bunch of times. You have multiple servos out there. What advice do you give to customers when they're selecting a servo?
So I get asked daily a bunch of times, and they want to know what servo is good for their truck. So I always tell, well, if you, for me, I want the most torque.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. They just pick up any servo and they just look at the torque. They don't know what's going on in the servo. But so if you're doing light trailing, okay, a little bit of crawling, I recommend the 422. Slap it in an RTR, you're ready to go. I've been running it at 6 volts, so you don't really need a BC unless you start getting brownouts. Then you should. Yeah. You'll probably upgrade your electronics anyway when those go down. So just get a better system, or just buy a $10 BEC, and you're good. And if you want to do a little bit something for comp, like the TRX4 or the SCX-10-2, the 444 is amazing. The 444, I made it because I made the 555 first, and it was just raw power. It's not as fast as because the more torque you add to a servo, the slower it's going to be. Right. People need to understand. So when I made the 555, it's awesome. We use that for 2.2 tires, mud trucks, everything. We use the 2.2, all of the above. 444 is fast, crawler, comp style. That's what I would recommend it for.
Nice. So my next question kind of broadens things out there a little bit, and it is, where do you see the scale crawling community heading in the coming years?
Only up, because I feel we as a community are bringing more people into this hobby. And since my short time, 2 years, I feel like it's almost doubled in size. And I feel like it's going to continue to do that. So what I keep trying to do is make cool stuff for the crawler like me, for the enthusiast like me, whether it's going to be, I can't just say crawling because I'm not going to be limiting us to just crawling servos. Hint, hint. But
I was going to say, there's some info.
Yeah. So I want to make things easy for the customer, because it was so difficult for me to understand what the servo means. What are all these numbers and words and letters? What does that mean to the consumer? Nothing. Right. My servos are called what the torque is.
Yep.
You'll never forget it, how much torque it has. Right? Easy.
Perfect. That's the easiest way to name them.
Yeah, that's why we came out with the shield, because I saw, Vanquish stopped making them, and a lot of people still wanted them. And, well, not everybody, but people were selling them online for $80. And I was just like, man, we CNC stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't want that. And plus, I wanted some for myself. So we made them. And, I mean, you saw it. Anybody that's running a servo on axle, protect your investment, man, because I've seen so many people, especially if you're running plastic ears, you'll break those ears. So I always recommend this, anything on the Bomber, Wraith. I even have it on my Coyote. So I that's one thing. And there's going to be more stuff that people need, and we're coming out with them next month.
Sweet. All right, man. So we're nearing the end here. We're coming up towards the end of what's going on. One question that I did pick out when I was following what's going on with the comments was, are you going to migrate to like the dual wire where you're not going to need a BEC in the future, possibly?
Well, first of all, you can't compare the two servos.
Yeah.
They're two different types of servos. And I just feel like it scares people to connect it directly to a battery, is what I'm hearing.
Okay.
I could be wrong. People are scared to do it. People are scared of lipos in general. And even me, when I started, I didn't know anything about lipos. They told me I got to put them in a safe thing or whatever. They might blow up. I see pictures. I'm like, holy crap, So now I'm going to connect my $150 servo directly to a battery. So the answer to your question, if I'm going to do that, probably not right now, maybe in the future. There's companies out there that have it already. So mine, you could buy it, drop it in your truck. If it's giving you low performance or brownouts, buy a $10 BEC and you'll be golden.
Right.
And real quick question that John mentioned, Axial Fest doubled in size this year. To answer that question, if the crawling community is growing or not.
Right. And that's crazy, and especially when you see footage and stuff from Axial Fest, it's gigantic. And so when I first started, so a local dude today posted a picture from our very first ever comp that I held at the family farm, and it made me cycle back, and we had 4 people. So
yeah,
and now to think about we're going to and East Coast wasn't a thing. Axial Fest, I believe, was a thing, but none of the stuff on my side of the country were a thing. And
right.
To see where it's all headed since then is just it's nuts. So, Go ahead. Oh yeah, my final question for you, man, is what should we expect to see next? What's coming?
A new servo's coming out next month, and something for the rear end.
Interesting.
That's it.
That's all you're allowed to say. So
all you're allowed to say.
Awesome.
So it's gonna be awesome, man. I can't wait. I love you. I love what you're doing. I love the hobby. Love the people behind it. And I'm so excited to be here. And I thank everybody for the support, man. I couldn't do it without you guys.
Yeah. So first off, thank you for appreciating what's going on here. I just genuinely want to show all these awesome people that are involved in the hobby and what they do and their passion for it. You didn't have to get into this. You chose to. And that's awesome. So your story's a good one.
Yeah. I love it.
All right. Well, we're going to get liked out of here, I think. So is there anything that you need to add that I missed that you should put in, or are we about good here?
Well, everybody's asking, when am I going to announce the new team drivers? So I funneled through the 400 emails. I sent my first email out to one driver today. I'm going to be sending a couple out every day. I'm only doing a certain amount. So if you get an email, reply back. Because if you don't reply back, I go to the next one.
Nice.
But yeah, man, that's it. And I'm happy. Stay tuned to Reefs RC because I got a lot of cool stuff coming. And I'm making it for the hobbyists because I want it. And if I want it, I'm just going to offer it to everybody. And stay tuned to our Reefs indoor crawling course that we're making, man. It's going to be off the charts. And I'm going to be hitting up some companies to back me up. I already have some good companies backing me up, and I can't wait for it. Where everybody is welcome to crawl and try out new trucks and then get them addicted to this hobby.
There you go. That's the way to do it, man. Put that radio in someone's hand, and then they're in. So,
Yeah, and I'll be videotaping it when they fall in love.
Perfect. All right, so if there's nothing else, I'm going to let you go, and I'll close out the show and finish things up. And as always, guys, I'll be uploading this to YouTube, so if you missed it or you want to watch it again because it was so awesome, you can absolutely do that over there. So,
thanks for all the comments, too, guys. Appreciate you.
absolutely. So,
All right,
all right,
later.
man, I'm going to let you go. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya. Okay, so, all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. As always, I genuinely appreciate it. A couple of things that I want to talk about right before I leave here. Next week, I have Wes Braswell. If you haven't checked out his stuff on YouTube, you totally should. He's like basically teaching you how to build tiny trucks, and he's phenomenal at it. I cannot wait to talk to him, pick his brain a little bit, see what he's got going on. After that, I will actually be doing live at 9:45 from the East Coast Scale Challenge in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I'll be talking with Matt and with Ed, and so if you're out there, stop in, see me, say hi, talk to me. I love talking to people at events. I love hanging out. It's a good time. A couple of other things before I let you go. Make sure that you're checking out my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, all of that stuff. I am posting social media stuff like mad right now because it's the summer. And it'll slow down a little bit as the school year hits, but right now I'm posting daily, multiple times a day, and it's good stuff, it's fun stuff, and it's a good time. So, as always, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. I'm going to go back through, talk about, address your comments, address what's going on. I totally appreciate all of the support, and without you guys, it's just me talking to myself, and no one wants to see that. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys all next week on another episode of Live at 9:45. Thanks.